Everybody's on. All right. Hey, Shalom, y'all. Bashim Shepakita. Sabas Kazak 5000. Out here from California. As always, La Neta. Coming to you live every Monday. You know what it is. Get ready. We're about to go live, baby. Yeah. Get ready for La Neta. Let's get this going. Okay, so as always, you can get us ISUPK Latino America. You know what I'm saying? Find us tune in ISUPK Puerto Rico from coast to coast. Always broadcasting la Escuela Israelita de Conocimiento Práctico Universal. Aquí para darles toda la noticia de Latinoamérica. You know what I'm saying? So as always, tune in with us. Sintoniza todos los lunes, de lunes a lunes en nuestros canales a través de las redes sociales de costa a costa, del este hasta el West Coast. Estamos siempre sintonizando, sintoniza con nosotros siempre, ya que estamos dando la noticia al momento de lo que está pasando en Latinoamérica, como siempre, ¿verdad? Hoy estamos con Malakma, we got Malakma in the house, Barack Ayala, que está con nosotros, como siempre, todos los lunes estamos aquí presentes para comunicarles lo que está pasando en todo Latinoamérica, ¿verdad? Y luego, of course, we're going to go right into it. As always, broadcasting what's going on here, you know, with the West Coast and the East Coast and Latin America. You know what I'm saying? The water for jumping in. La Neta every Monday, as you know, transmitting from the West Coast all the way up to Canada. Man, the water Barack Ayala for being on once again. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead, introduce yourself, guys. Akim.
Okay, you go ahead first, Priest.
I want this Officer 50 Brock Yala Ban Yam Yam. You already know. Straight from Canada, Montreal. You understand? Every Monday, todos los lunes, we have La Pura Neta with the Arawanyam, Officer 5000 Kazakyad, Officer 500 Malakma. Some of the brothers are missing right now because probably they're, you know, in working, doing sleepy, whatever the case is. This is the best, the most informative show for all La Neta, wherever you're. Central America, South America, the Caribbeans, you understand? This is the best show on the planet Earth right now for all our Hispanic, Negroes, and Native Indian brothers and sisters, you understand? Tune in every Monday, get you that information. We're going to get it in just now.
That's right. Go ahead, Malakman.
So once again, you know, Shalom Israel. De raza, aquí estamos otra vez, ¿verdad? Aquí para decir que es la neta de lo que está afectando a nuestra gente. Right? We gonna, you know, Shalom Israel, you know, Shalom my raza. We just right here another night, you know what I mean? About to bring out, you know, the issues, the topics, everything that's affecting our raza, you know what I mean? And as you see right now, this is the time of, you know, we're in October. So it's the spirit of Halloween that's going on right now that everyone wants to get into all that, you know what I mean? But, you know, as you learn more and if you just, you know, take a step back and look at what's actually happening, you'll see that these holidays, right, these colonizer holidays are really something horrible for us, man. How many people go missing a year on Halloween, right? I mean, y'all see the show on Netflix going on right now with you know, where they're retouching the history of Jeffrey Dahmer, which he's just one of many serial killers out there that target our raza, right? Our people are getting targeted and murdered left and right in this place, man. So, you know, it would behoove you to listen to what we say and you know, wise up so you know where the danger is and get away with it. That's what our job here in the ISUPK is, to warn the raza of the danger that's out there so that y'all can get away from it. So with that, I'll pass the floor to the next priest.
You know, and that's a good point, man. This Halloween, you know, that's a real good point because, you know, you're seeing this, like you said, the movie Jeffrey Dahmer is up, you know, on what is that, Netflix, you know,
right?
And man, you don't have to watch that movie, right, to hear about murders and atrocities. All you got to do is go back and look at the history of the indigenous people in America, the indigenous people in Latin America. All you got to do is go into the history of the islands, the Caribbean islands, man, and you'll find all the murderous atrocities that if this guy Jeffrey Dahmer, you know, touches you as strikes you as a crazy man, you can only imagine what these people did, right? During the times of our people. You know what I'm saying? Of the early Hispanic people here in California, on the islands, on the Caribbean, Puerto Rico, the Caribbeans. You know what I'm saying? The Native American Indian, the Aztecs. Man, you read the history of what happened in those days, man, and it makes Jeffrey Dahmer look like nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Make Jeffrey Dahmer look like if it's child's play. Man, you got to really understand that the history of these people is extreme, man. And man, I want to go into that, man. I'd like to start talking about that, man. That's something great to talk about because you know what? It's a good time to talk about this because, man, the Edomites, man, they all stem, man. Let me tell you something. Jeffrey Dahmer is just the spirit of all the Edomites that came here and did what they wanted, how they wanted, when they wanted to our Black, Hispanic, and Native American Indian brothers, man. All you see this on the Jeffrey Dahmer movie, man, that they're playing, man, you can only imagine the atrocities and how they, man, if you watch that, you can 10 times that what they did to our people. I got
Right.
jump on, Sharman. We got Kasharwan also who's about to jump on. So brothers starting to log on. We got Kasharwan coming in also. So hang tight, man. We got other brothers jumping in. But man, let's go into this, man. Let's go into the atrocities that they used to do, man. I'm glad they're showing that Jeffrey Dahmer because you know what? Connect that Jeffrey Dahmer so close to the history of Black, Hispanic, and Native American Indian, man, so you can really get a good view of how they used to and what they used to do to us. Every time you see that Jeffrey Dahmer, you can imagine Black, Hispanic, and Native American Indians and what they had to go through. Man, the boarding schools, the residential schools, the missions. Man, should I go on? Should I go on? Texas, you know what they did to the Hispanic people in Texas? Man, this Jeffrey Dahmer, man, and man, stop me whenever you guys want, man. But just mentioning that just helps me, like reflect on thinking about what Jeffrey Dahmer's doing, man. And then I think about, me, what comes to my mind is, damn, imagine what they used to do to our people. Back then. Go ahead, Carnal.
If I may, the thing is about that Jeffrey Dahmer series on Netflix, the LGBTQ was put against Netflix because they branded the show as an LGBT show, right? And the thing is that they really don't want to understand that their community is a violent community. You understand? I mean, this is the spirit of the LGBT being violent, discussing, and a violent person. And the only reason why they don't want to, how you call it, accept so-called Jeffrey, whatever his name is, right, is because he said, I am born this way. Just like they all say, they're all born that way. They're not going to admit that, there is no good with the LGBT. There's only bad and ugly. And the thing is that, just like you said, it's not even just about the LGBT because it is really about our oppressor, which is the number one LGBT on the face of the earth.
Right.
And they're literally all Jeffrey Dahmer. They're all like that, from Christopher Columbus to the French, the German, the English. You're all Jeffrey Dahmer. You understand? And even worse.
No, Khan.
Good, sir.
Go ahead, Malagma.
I saw a heavy post the other day, right? It said if Jeffrey Dahmer's story would have taken place in 1780 or something like that, there would be a statue of him out there today.
Damn right. You're right about that. They would have honored him. They'd be honoring him because if I believe correctly, how many presidents didn't commit atrocities on our people, on the Native American people? How many of these politicians that come from a bloodline of politicians, like for instance the Bush administration, the Bush family, they come from a bloodline of people. They're like, Bush isn't like, these aren't new people. These are people that are, generations of politicians that their great grandparents, they're, going way back to the times when they arrived here. Because what people got to understand is that just the same way we're generations, so are they. Just the way you can track your generation, I track my grandfather's generation to the Braceros, who used to come here. You know what I'm saying? As workers, my grandfather was a bracero. He came here, and I can relate to the stories when I talk about the bracero program and what was that? The DDT spraying on them and all these things. Man, I'm not only talking about history that I read about or research about. I realized that my grandpa was one of those people that he had to go through that he had to be sprayed, that he was naked in one of those rooms with everybody, that he was used and abused for his labor, and that he could never stay in America because he was, seasonal here and then go back, seasonal here and then go back. And that's the way they used to have them. My grandma told me how my grandfather was seasonal, that he left her for months and then come over here and then he'd go back over there. That's the way many families work because they weren't allowed to stay here. You know what I'm saying? And with that, there's something I'm gonna throw in real quick. With that is that one of the problems that my grandfather had was that the Chicanos here, the Mexican American people, disliked my grandfather because they were thinking that he was coming over here to take their jobs. You see what I'm saying? So this is the way this is the way the man. What word do I want to use it so we don't get disconnected? A term we used to use was man, what's that term that I'm looking for? That Raza used to use for them. What was it? Not pochos. What were they called, man? Man, let me think.
Tomases.
The Tio Tomases, you want to call them that? Yeah, absolutely, man. But what happened is that they'd be manipulated. Oh no, you're American now. You're this, you're that, and all of a sudden, what you realize is that Mexican people forgot who they were. They became Americanized, and now you got people that claim to be Mexican American, and with that same Mexican American attitude, it's the same when you talk about you fit into the American agenda. You also fit into a racial agenda, into agenda of hating Hispanic people, into an agenda of hating Black people, of separating from the Native American, because now you want to satisfy your American side, your gringo side, you know what I'm saying? And now you want to be, and you know what word we used to use? I just thought of the word. Mexicans, right? Mexicans, real Mexicans had a word for the white man, and it was Anglos. We used to call them Anglos, Los Anglos, Los Anglos. It was the right word to use to describe them because the Anglos were the ones committing crimes on our people. And the Chicanos had a good word. That's before they became Mexican Americans. The Mexican people had a good word, and that was Anglos, because that's their true nationality. They're Anglos. They ain't Americans, because America is three continents. It's South America, right? Central America, right? Which is Mexico part of it, Central America, and then there's North America, but it's all America. So if you say America, then well, goddamn it, all these Mexican people are American. All these South American people are Americans. All the Central American people are Americans, because we carry that same what is that? That same term, American. But now all of a sudden, man, you got these Anglos who have to take over everything, including the name America. It has to be theirs. They're the only Americans. Mexicans ain't Americans. They're some other, I don't know what they are, even though we're called Central American or South American. But now all of a sudden, when it comes to their terms, their terminology, they're no longer American. Go ahead, sorry, one.
Yeah, real quick, and you can tell because people in Central and South America, when they refer to, the white people in America, like the president, the people up here,
yeah,
they refer to them as Americans.
Right.
Well, yet, are we all Americans?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Since we all live in Central, South America, we should all be Americans, right? But now they know, and they put that label on them.
Right.
On those people,
Well, even if you think about it, Amerigo Vespucci discovered this continent and discovered the whole damn thing, or Slovakia supposedly discovered it, right? Because how do you discover something where people are already here? Not only are we already here, we're far advanced. Not only we're advanced, we got cities, we got economy. Damn, we got economy, we got everything. You know what I'm saying? And so, how do you discover something that's already working? Like our system already worked. Our economic system, our system of work our system of political system that we had, our schooling, everything was already established. Then you got these people who come over and think, oh yeah, you know what, we've discovered it. Now they supposedly bring a civilized culture, but they weren't civilized at all. And that's where we go back to Jeffrey Dahmer, uncivilized individual who brings that same mentality. Watching that Jeffrey Dahmer, that same mentality is what they brought with them. That's their true nature. Watching that movie, what'd you say it was called, Malagma? Jeffrey Dahmer?
It's called Dahmer.
Dahmer?
The monster, something like that.
That's them. They're monsters,
Yeah.
you know, and they bring that whole thing with them. That watching that Jeffrey Dahmer, and let me tell you something, man. I haven't watched it, you know. I think I sit there with Lahab and watch a little bit, but in reality, I don't watch it, man. You know, I don't want to see. Wasn't he, man? Wasn't he? And I'm going to use the term LGBT to not offend them, right? Because they
sodomite.
Sodomite. Was he not a sodomite?
Yeah.
That, right?
If I could, sir, you know, I got a stomach for a lot of things. You know what I mean? When I watch these movies, when it comes to gore, to violence, you know, watching all these action movies and war movies. But man, the whole like all the sodomite activity, I never had to fast forward to a movie so many times, man. Just skip these nasty scenes in there, man. But it's just heavy, just you know, because all this. It's like they brought it out on Black Watch, but it's true. Like it's like this is why we said the oppressor is the devil the Bible speaks of, because when it comes to them, they'll humanize a goddamn serial killer. They'll humanize a cannibal. You know what I mean? And meanwhile, you being black or brown, you sell some drugs, you gangbang, and you're never humanized. You're seen as an animal. You try to cross an imaginary line, you get caged up like an animal. You know what I mean? But for them, they get, you know, Hitler will get humanized. I bet you they'll make a autobiography about Hitler and show what it's like to hate the Jewish man. You know what I mean? Good night.
Salakia. Yeah. No, you're right. Absolutely, man. They'll make them the poster child for them. You know what I mean? They'll make them their poster child. They'll be like, that's what it's all about. And you know, and it's true because, you know, even Hitler, look, they go back and forth. I was doing some reading the other day, and I was reading about these. I was reading about the text, or when they were spraying DDT on the people, right? I was reading about that, and they were saying, what I was reading was that they were talking about how Hitler with what is that IB what was that shit that he used, IB Forbin or something like that. I'm trying to think of the name. What is that?
Not the ibuprofen, right? The stuff that cures your headaches.
No, IB man, it's the chemical that Hitler used, the powder he used to spray on the Jews, right? But they were saying how Hitler didn't invent that. Hitler got it from when they were doing that to the Hispanic people here. So
right.
America did, right? He did it from there. That's where he got it from, right? That's where he got it from the spraying here in America. And that's that's where he got it from. So they go back and forth, you know, sharing ideas, and you know, it's really the how could I say? It's really the scientists that they have. Oh, I know where I got it from. You know what I was reading? Man, this is monstrous, bro. There's and I gotta find it. There's in Puerto Rico, right? There was this doctor, man, and you know what happened with me is I start reading shit, and I'll just like go way into it. And I was reading about this doctor that went to Puerto Rico, and man, I'm gonna have to find it. And man, this murderous bastard, man, he went there to kill Puerto Rican women by doing something to them that would cause them not to have babies no more. And let me find it, man. Let me find it. But yeah, I gotta find it right now because man, I gotta go into this. But yeah, great story to bring out. But yeah, man, when you look at these people, man, that's exactly, that's
Exactly.
is that yours? Salaki, we'll get right back into it. So yeah, man, this guy is poster child for what they do. You know what I mean? And all of them, man, they're all the same. That's why it shouldn't how good shouldn't surprise us, right? To know that they do that, or to even watch that movie. Like, to me, that's why I don't watch it, man. I'd rather read a history book, and man, just by hearing about Jeffrey Dahmer, I know that what I'm reading in the history book is real. It's true.
God.
Still do that. That's how you know it's true, because come on, man, these guys are monsters, man. Like, who else would do that to kids, to women? You know what I mean?
Salaki, one, if I may.
Go ahead.
I mean, even with that Jeffrey Dahmer story, I mean, we're in 2022. We still not seeing the fact that we need to separate from these people. You understand? Like, it has been happening ever since like 1492, and whatever they were doing back then, they're still doing today. Like, they were eating us back then. There's a book called The Delectable Negro, where they used to cook us over a fire and eat our body parts, just like Jeffrey Dahmer was doing. You understand? There's another Edomite actually in Montreal. His name is Luca Rocco Magnotta. He was arrested because he killed his boyfriend, and he started eating him on live. He videotaped the whole thing.
Wow.
You understand? Now, knowing how monstrous these people are, in 2022, we're still not thinking that we need to separate from these devils. And the real reason why we think that we don't need to separate, or in that case might be isolated, it's all because of Christianity. You understand? Because of Christianity, we think, yeah, they're not all so bad. You understand? That was just an isolated case, whatever the case is. Not remembering whatever happened to our ancestors. They've been doing the same thing. You understand? We need to separate from these devils to make sure that our people is safe. And Salakia, another point, real quick, right? It should serve as a lesson not to be a sodomite.
Right.
Because our brothers and sisters, I mean, in that case, our brothers would have never been targeted by that sodomite if they were not sodomite themselves. You understand? I'm gonna leave it at that, Adawan.
Khan. Okay, so let me go into this, because we're talking about this guy, right? We're talking about Jeffrey Dahmer, but Jeffrey Dahmer is nothing compared to, like, for instance, Dr. Cornelius Rhodes. I don't know if you ever heard of that man. Imagine, they even call him doctor. Not only do they call him doctor, but they made an award after his name. So you could actually, if you were like in a college, a professor or something, you could actually win the Dr. Cornelius Award. You know what I mean? For being like, I don't know, for some shit. You know what I'm saying? But Dr. Cornelius Rhodes, man, I'm gonna go into his story, right? Let me go into it, right? I'm gonna go into it. I'm gonna read it real quick, just to show you. But that's how you know, man, that this is the devil the Bible speaks of. You know what I mean?
That's right.
This guy is the goddamn devil. Dr. Cornelius Rhodes was a well-regarded. Oh, come on, man. Let me see. Let me go back. Dr. Cornelius P. Rhodes was a well-regarded cancer researcher that some people to this day suspect of murder. Listen to what they say: suspect of murder, because they gotta downplay what he did. The suspicion sprang from a letter that Rhodes himself wrote one night when he was drunk, and it says a suspicion. Dr. Cornelius had long and successful career an oncologist. He investigated treatment for anemia before going on to the Head Memorial Hospital. He helped shape the newly emerging science of chemotherapy on cancer patients. His studies were so productive that anonymous donors endowed an annual award to be given out to young researchers who make significant contributions to the treatment of cancer, right? But now let's go into who this man is. The award was renamed when scientists going through the Rhodes papers stumbled across the scandal in the early 1930s that caused Rhodes to flee Puerto Rico under suspicion of multiple murders. Rhodes was down there investigating certain types of anemia as part of the Rockefeller Foundation. Come on, man, you should know already. He was not pleasant with his situation, right? He was not pleased with the situation, especially one night after he left the party drunk and found that his car had been vandalized. His response was to head to his office and write it to a colleague, a cancer researcher in New York. The letter started out with complaints about other colleagues getting jobs at Rhodes. Well, I'm going to skip that because I want to go straight to what he did. Because what he did was he was injecting Puerto Rican women by the thousands with what is that, like cells, cancerous cells, for they could not have babies. This is what this bastard was doing, and he could. I could the whole thing, but he was on one for a long time. He was on one for a long time doing this to Puerto Rican women. And the thing is, this letter is not going into what he did to the Puerto Rican women. They're beating around the bush with the Rockefeller this, Rockefeller that. But when I read the whole thing, when I found him and I read about him, Cornelius Rhodes, it was saying about what he really did in Puerto Rico and how people were trying to hang this guy. He ended up leaving Puerto Rico right after they found the letter of him doing that to the Puerto Rican women. And instead of how could they say, instead of condemning him, they put him in the military, right? Because he became like an officer in the military. Let me find this one. Cornelius Rhodes was an American pathologist, oncologist, and hospital administrator. He became an administrator at a hospital for the Rockefeller Foundation. He was the research for mustard gas. Imagine that. He was the research for mustard gas. And this is where it comes on because Puerto Rican leader, which led to his camp. Okay, so let me tell you what happened. He was during the time, I don't know if anybody knows of Pedro Albizu Campos. Pedro Albizu Campos was like a revolutionist in Puerto Rico. This man Albizu Campos is like the Zapata of Mexico because he was anti-American government. He wanted the government out. Actually, they murdered Albizu Campos. He was murdered, right? But this was during his time. With this guy, what they did to him, they quickly pulled him out of Puerto Rico and they put him in the military. And he was taking Puerto Rican soldiers out to the Dominican Republic, out to areas like that, putting them in the jungle and spraying them with mustard gas to see. They were human experiments. They were to see how they would react to the mustard gas. You see what I'm saying? This is the kind of shit this guy did. You know what I mean? So he was actually doing human experiments on Puerto Rican people. This guy was like all out monster against Puerto Ricans. You know what I mean? You got to really see what he did to. And I found the letter. Let me see. Damn, I wanna find this letter. It's not the letter. I'm trying to look for the letter. I should have put it to the side.
Salakia,
Go ahead.
I think I got the letter.
Oh yeah, okay. Let's see. You found about this guy?
Yeah, because I don't know if I think that's the letter. He's addressing some man named Ferdy. You know. So it starts with really him just ranting until he starts talking about Puerto Ricans.
Okay, yeah, I know that the one in Spanish that he did is like saying that they were animals, that they, like he's really putting down the Puerto Rican people. But if you have that one, Oh, you're right. I see it. I would be idle except for the Puerto Ricans. They are beyond doubt the dirtiest, laziest, and most denigrated and thievish race of men ever
Right.
inhabiting this sphere. It makes you sick to inhabit the same island with them. They are even
Wow.
lower than Italians. What the island needs is not public health work, but a tidal wave or something to totally exterminate the population. It might be then livable. I've done my best to further the process of extermination by killing off 8 and transplanting cancer into several more. The letter has
Good night.
resulted in any fatality so far. The matter of consideration for the patient's welfare plays no role here. In fact, all physicians take delight in the abuse and torture of the unfortunate subjects. Imagine that. And you're talking about Jeffrey Dahmer, right? And you got a guy like this guy, Cornelius Rhodes, who is a Jeffrey Dahmer against the population of Puerto Rico. And let me tell you, on this letter, he says 8, right? But if you do the research, they're talking about thousands of people that he exposed to cancerous cells on purpose in order to exterminate Puerto Rican people. And let me tell you something, man. It shouldn't, it was like, this letter was written in the 1930s, but today, what is that crafty console the Bible speaks about?
Karawakan.
Puerto Rico was destroyed by a hurricane not too a couple years back, and America refused to help them in order for Puerto Rico to become a wasteland. And then they offered to buy Puerto Rican people's property because their properties were destroyed. Thousands of Puerto Rican people decided to sell their properties because they were useless. They got no home loans. They're not lending them any money to rebuild their homes. They have no insurance because the insurance company refused to pay any of their homes. And the people that lost their homes have sold them for dirt cheap to American people who own companies to go over there, because what they do, they implemented free taxes for American corporations to go and build in Puerto Rico. Imagine that. So what this man, Cornelius P. Rhodes, tried to do, America did and found a different way of doing it by destroying Puerto Rico and then rebuilding in gentrification. They gentrified it, man. That's exactly what they're doing. And they found how to gentrify it, man. Go ahead, Salakia.
Like, if I could, sir, it just shows, you know what I mean? This devil said, you know, that Puerto Ricans are what? Lazy and what? Like, meanwhile, not forgetting that you're on their land. You know what I mean? This just shows, you know what I mean, how these oppressors have no compassion at all. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, how you go take somebody else's land, then say, you know, treat these people the way you treat them. You know what I mean?
Man.
No other nation would dare tolerate that. But we tolerate it because, you know, like I said, we're a righteous people. We're a merciful people. So that's why we give all these other nations the benefit of the doubt. We give them humanity, which is something they never give us. So, like, y'all pass it to the next priest.
I posted that right there for everybody to see it, man, right now. This is if you read this, these are the excerpts from the letter that he had written for Puerto Rico. So I just posted it up for everybody to see. You know what I'm saying? But they've been doing that. They've been trying to take Puerto Rico for a long time. And you can imagine that this guy works. But who does he work for? For the Rockefeller Foundation? Come on, man. The richest.
I mean, come on, man.
You know what I'm saying? So you know that they sent him out there in an attempt to see how they could take that island from them completely. You know what I'm saying? To them, they're just spics, man. That's the truth. He said they're worse than Italians. Imagine that. You know? They're worse than Italians. Man, you know? And so what they want to do is they want to take that land, just like all of our land, man. Look, why do you think they haven't helped the Haitian people out? They ain't helped the Haitian people out because they're hoping the Haitian people just kill themselves off. Extermination through the process of elimination through natural disasters. A natural disaster hits, and they're not going to help because those people can't help themselves. So they know they're going to exterminate them one way or another. Salaki, go ahead, Malakma.
Now, just real quick, I don't. They said that devil said they're worse than Italians. Like, right. Good night. Last I checked, I don't recall the Puerto Ricans, bringing alcohol in during the time of Prohibition. I don't recall Puerto Ricans, committing gang wars, holding Tommy guns, and forming their mobs. You know what I mean? Starting that whole gangster lifestyle. Puerto Ricans didn't bring drugs into America. It was them Italians. But they're going to say we worse than them. They don't say Puerto Ricans are worse than them. Good night, man. This is why this oppressor is the devil the Bible speaks of, man. I could do a whole show saying he's the devil just because of everything that's being brought up. You know what I mean? And people that get in their feelings talking about I'm on some, something racist. I mean, I'm showing you why I'm saying it. Who goes and, to demonize a people for things that your people done shows, that there's no truth in you. Devil just means deceive. Devil just means a liar. He is a liar because he lies about the Puerto Ricans and lies about the Italians to make them seem better than the Puerto Ricans. It's a lot.
Man, so I told you about Pedro Albizu Campos, who was the revolutionist for Puerto Rico in the 1930s. This man was like, this is like I said before, right? This is Zapata of Puerto Rico. This is Cesar Chavez of Puerto Rico. This is like the Pancho Villa of Puerto Rico. Like this is the revolutionist. When you talk about Puerto Rican revolution, you talk about Pedro Albizu Campos as the Puerto Rican nationalist, or for the Nationalist Party, the man who sought to take out America and bring in Puerto Rican Puerto Rican independence, right? So that's who Pedro Albizu Campos is. And so what happened is that this is the way it all came to flourish. This monster Cornelius Rhodes had a lab technician who used to help him. His name was Luis Baldoni. Baldoni, of course, probably Italian. You know what I'm saying? That's why he hated him, right? Because he's the one who turned the letter in to Albizu Campos. So he resigned, and after he resigned, he was like, you know what? Before I get out of here, because he feared for his life. Like this guy was like, man, this guy's gonna kill me, and because he knew that this guy Albizu Campos, well, he knew Salakia, that Cornelius Rhodes had connections with major companies. So when he turned the letter into Albizu Campos began, he was the president of the Puerto Rican Nationalist Party. Albizu Campos started making it public, that letter, sending copies to the League of Nations, to the Pan American Union, to the American Civil Liberties Union, to the Vatican, bro. He sent it to the Vatican like if they were going to help, right? They didn't give a shit about Puerto Rico, right? He also distributed through the media. So he was like on, exposing this guy Rhodes for what he did. But he was, he said in his letter, he was like, this is linked to American imperialism. America is trying to come into Puerto Rico and not only take our land, but they're trying to murder us, right? What he was doing, they were encouraging immigration, instead of helping employment, that America was bringing in more immigrants, more American people into that, right? So that was the problem with that's why he was like, that can't happen. They're not trying to help Puerto Rico. They're trying to destroy it. You know what I mean? And so this was the rise. But what you're really looking at here is how, once again, you put this guy, Cornelius Rhodes, an American scientist, who has big names behind him, government behind him and all that. And you're really putting a monster into the mix of Hispanics. You know what I'm saying? And that's because he's coming with that mentality that's coming from America. And what's the mentality? Rob, rape, and murder. You know what I mean? Because that's what it is, rob, rape, and murder. Nothing new. Cornelius P. Rhodes didn't do nothing new. He just did what all the what is it? All the conquistadores and all the pioneers and all the what is that? Immigrants from Ireland and England and Britain. He did the same thing they've all done. All they've brought is murder and rape and theft and destruction to this country. And Cornelius Rhodes did it in the 1930s. They were continuing to do what they've always done: conquer, murder, rape, and destroy. And that was their goal. That's what they've done. You know what I mean? That's all they do. That's their goal on how to take over our land. And with that, we're talking about this, and if you haven't noticed, like today, this man, Alviso Campos, right? If you guys haven't been keeping up, Latin America is seeing a rise in political agenda, where a lot of presidents in Latin America, Peru and Colombia and El Salvador, and where else? There's a couple other countries where the presidents recently, last week, got together at the United Nations, and they've been going in on America and how America has kept these countries from prospering. They went into the United Nations and say, let me tell you something. They're all these presidents all lined up all together, and we're like, we're here today because we're the nations, we're the countries in the nation where we don't have a voice. Talking about Peru, talking about Colombia, talking about El Salvador, talking about these. They're like, man, we're small countries, but we're countries, and we have never been able to prosper because America has come in and destroyed not only our political system, but our people by implementing revolutions, implementing ways to destroy us. And the best one, I think, was El Salvador with the President Bukele, who said, you know what, let me tell you what America did. He said in the 1980s, America brought a war to El Salvador, and our people fled from El Salvador. People were migrating to America to flee the war in El Salvador that America caused. And a lot of the people that were fleeing were people that were murderers, killers, people that were revolutionists, and they were fleeing because, it was getting heavy. Then they came to America, where their children became gangbangers. You know what I'm saying? And they came here, they became gangbangers, La 18, La Mara Salvatrucha. And then, if you understand this history, these kids, after a while, who was it? Reagan? Ronald Reagan did a whole thing in the 80s, in the late 80s, where he was like, we're about to deport all these Salvadorian people back to El Salvador. He wasn't deporting Salvadorian kids. Let me tell you what he was deporting. He was deporting hardcore gangbangers who were imprisoned for murder here in America. And when he sent them back to El Salvador, he didn't tell El Salvador, watch out for these people. They didn't fill the airplane and say, this airplane is filled with murderers, extortionists, gangbangers, dangerous people. He didn't tell them that. They sent them over there with no knowledge, without El Salvador's knowledge of what they were about to receive. And what they received was a whole different type of revolution for El Salvador. It was a revolution of a new type of terrorists, which were these gangs. Because what they did is they landed in El Salvador, and the next thing you understood is terrorism came to El Salvador in a different name. Revolution came to El Salvador in a different name, and it was in the name of La 18 and La Mara Salvatrucha, where they extorted people daily on the streets. But then what happened is that now people from El Salvador are fleeing El Salvador, not because of a war, but because of the gang conditions that their children are growing up in. Now they find themselves fleeing El Salvador. Why? Because they don't want their children to grow up, or die because of these gangs. So now you got a whole new thing where now you got another exodus of Salvadorian people, but for a whole different reason. For the reason that America, once again, did a little thing. What was that? Crafty Council, where they were like, well, just send them over there. Let them deal with these gangs, But, they didn't warn them. And then they implemented the law where you cannot, you cannot convict an 18-year-old because it's or a minor. You can't convict a minor. They were like, you can't convict minors of crimes, and that was something that was implemented all over because they were doing that every place where they were, incriminating children. They were like, no, they're minors, they can't do that. So El Salvador was stuck with a bunch of young kids on the streets of El Salvador extorting Salvadoranian people. But that whole thing changed now that this president has made a different move, and things have been completely different. And so is Guatemala, and so is a lot of other Latin American countries decided that, you know what, this has got to change. This cannot be that no more. And that's exactly what's happening to Latin America. And America, man, the UPK talks about how America is losing, right? Like America is gonna go under. America's gonna be destroyed. And already within America, within this country, people like Black, Hispanics, Native American Indians, we're realizing that we need to separate from this nation. We need to separate from this nation because this nation is wicked. They got wicked ways. They're teaching our children the wicked ways. Sodomites, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Racist, sodomites, all these things where we hate each other, And when I say racist, I mean Black against Hispanic, Hispanic against Native American Indian. They're teaching us these things. They're teaching us to be Americans. And to be American is Cornelius P. Rhodes. That's what it is to be American. To be American is that, what would you say the name of that movie is? The one we're watching, Malagma, what would you say the name of the movie is that you mentioned?
Oh, Dahmer.
Dahmer, that's being American. That's the American way. This is the American way, right? The conquering, the murder, the thieving, what is America? America's foundation. America is founded on Jeffrey Dahmer's character. That's the way. Like that's the foundation of America. When you see Jeffrey Dahmer's movie, that's how America was made. Just like that. You know what I'm saying? That's the foundation of America. That's how America was created. America was created by murder. America was created by theft. America was created by lies. America was created by sodomy. You know what I'm saying? America was created by the use of other nations to make themselves better. America's created on greed. That's how America's created. And to become American, you pick up all the characteristics of an American person. You begin to hate your own people. You begin to say, well, if they're Mexican, they should have a green card. They have no right to be here. You know who's American? That Mexican guy that went and what did he do? Pour a fire extinguisher all over that other Hispanic truck, right? That's the American way, carnal. That's the American way. Those that go around say, well, those taco trucks shouldn't be here. That corn guy shouldn't be here. I don't speak English. They shouldn't be here. That's the American way. You know what I'm saying? I just seen this video of this black young lady playing a flute. And I guess the flute is some famous white president. And he was known for slavery. And she this flute, this glass flute, for the first time, he used to play that flute. And for the first time in I don't know how many hundreds of years, they allowed someone to play the flute, and they gave it to a black woman. And she proudly played that. And all the black people that were sitting in the crowd applauded because, oh, hooray, what an honor to play that flute. Hell no. She should have got that flute and destroyed it just because of who had that. You know what I'm saying? And I wish I could find whose flute that was, man, because that's ridiculous to think that we should be honored to take anything and make it something. Go ahead.
That sister, that's her name is Lizzo.
Okay.
She's playing a 200-year-old crystal flute. Salakia. She said it's from President James Madison.
There you go.
Mm.
Khan, absolutely. That's the one. And if you got that story, man, Barack Ayala, if you got that story, man, please just fill us in, because I read it. I couldn't believe it, man. And I seen the comments that brother was reporting, like, man, you know, that's disgraceful. You know what I'm saying? That's a disgrace.
Like, so like, sir, if I could, real quick, can you imagine the outrage had a Jewish man picked up Hitler's what's that book called, the Mein Kampf book or something like that, and started reading it out loud to his people?
God,
You know what I mean?
God,
Mein Kampf or whatever. You know what I mean?
God.
It's like there's no pride in how do I say it? That's just a beaten down spirit, because you damn well know no Jewish man would ever pick up an artifact of the Nazis and use it for himself. You know what I mean? I don't think any nation. Go ahead, sir. Yeah, come, sir. Right. Only us.
Only us can.
Mexicans, and I'll give an example. Mexicans infusing the American flag and the Mexican flag together in one. You know what I mean? Like, it's like go ahead, priest.
Go ahead, Baraka Yala, if you got that.
Khan. This is from the article from Teen Quote. Lizzo played a dead president's 200-year-old crystal flute at her concert in DC.
Oh, and in DC, bro. Wow.
So, Lucky, she was dressed that naked too.
Oh, Khan, yeah, I didn't even add that, but you're right. She was like half naked.
Khan. So I'm gonna just give one paragraph into the meat of the article, right? So during her show, the singer and classically trained flautist played a stunning crystal flute loaned to her by the Library of Congress that once belonged to former United States President James Madison. In case you need a history refresher, Madison was the fourth president of the United States and served from 1809 to 1817, which in other words is a long time. It's a lot, if I may. What they're not saying is that president owned slaves. You understand? I mean, he served. Not only was he like one of the earliest presidents of the U.S., but he served from 1809 to 1817. We were still in shackles. I mean, we're still being hanged on trees right now, but we were hanged. You know, it was really more common to be hanged from trees back then. To be barbecued. You understand? To have the men sitting in a circle while the slave master would hang a pregnant woman by the feet and rip the baby open from her belly. You understand? That's the time that president was alive. But they're not going to mention that. They're just going to say, well, Lizzo, congratulations, you played a 200-year-old flute that used to belong to a former president of the U.S. Not knowing that former president might have had Lizzo's great-great-great-grandfather or grandmother in shackles. You understand? There's nothing to be proud about. It's just like we always start from this, right? You shouldn't be proud to call yourself a Mexican American because you got a green card. You shouldn't be proud to call yourself French if you're from the West Indies just because you got French nationality, not knowing that we only have that nationality because the French never freed us after slavery. You understand? You shouldn't be proud to associate yourself with your enemies. Because what you're doing is you're separating yourself from your own people. And just like Kanye West, did, I don't know if it's today or just a couple of days ago, with that sister Candace Owens, they were wearing a shirt talking about white lives matter.
Oh God, I saw that.
There's nothing to be. You should be ashamed of yourself. You understand? That's coonery at its finest. That's really a product of Christianity. This is what loving your oppressor really looks like. Playing an instrument, being proud to play an instrument that belongs to your oppressor. Being proud to wear a shirt that says white lives matter. You understand? Being proud to call yourself by the nationality of your oppressor. You understand? This is really a product of Christianity at the end of the day. Because Christianity will make you hate your own and love your enemies. You understand? While Christians are always talking about we should forgive left and right, but the thing is, we're never ready to forgive our own. We're ready to forgive our enemies, but when it comes to our own, we're ready to kill each other until there's nothing left. Come on, the other one.
That's right. Absolutely. Damn right. And that's the problem with us Hispanics, man, and blacks and Native American Indians that we wanna trade our nationality, our culture and everything for this culture that's been nothing but monstrous to us, man. You know what I'm saying? And it's because, man, it's because like Malagma was saying, we want to be quick to put the American flag. You know what I'm saying? We want to do the American flag, like you come 4th of July, all Mexicans have flags out in front of their houses. You know what I'm saying? You're like, what the hell? You know what I mean? Like, why would you even have that? You want to, and then you want to call yourself a Mexica. You want to call yourself a brown beret. You want to call yourself these things, and knowing, man, that the first step of that is to get rid of that culture. You know what I mean? Get rid of that right there. Get rid of that cover, man, because that's the worst. That's the worst of all. Is trying to become a nation that has always been monstrous to us. You know what I'm saying? But come on, man.
Right.
Go ahead, Malagma.
That's if you say that, sir, because it's like there's no other way to put it. This nation has definitely been monstrous to us, man. And here's one more thing I want to add, just because not to touch too much on Jeffrey Dahmer anymore, but I'm gonna say this: with Jeffrey Dahmer and everything these oppressors have done, you can never tell me that Esau is not the white man. You know what I mean? Jeffrey Dahmer is the exact embodiment of Esau, being a cunning hunter, being subtle. You know what I mean? Having that bloodlust and being a profane fornicator. Come on, man. You want the best example of who Esau was? Look at Jeffrey Dahmer. Lock it.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, they're the real predators, man. They're the real predators. These people are like the predators of our people. Like we the hunted. You know what I mean? They're the predators, and we're the hunted of our people. You know what I mean? And you see these people, and they look like, man, they harmless. And you look at that fool in that movie, and man, that's the guy next door. Depending on where you live, that's the guy at your school, depending on what school you go to. You would never think about that, but then when you see them, man, you realize that, man, they got a hidden agenda. You know what I mean? And that agenda is the murder of us. Go ahead.
Real quick, if I may, like Officer Malakma said, not to touch on that story that much anymore, but it's just like Jeffrey Dahmer. At some point, he actually moved to a neighborhood that had a bad reputation in the ghetto. You understand? Which would be basically our neighborhood, a so-called Black or Hispanic neighborhood, right? The thing is, not only that could have been avoided by our brothers, sodomites, but also if we would have profiled him just like they profile us, that could have been avoided as well. Just like the mass shooter in Buffalo, New York. If we are profiling white people just like they're profiling us, a lot of tragedies would not happen.
Right.
You understand? That's all I wanted to add on.
God, no, you're right about that, man. The problem is that we see ourselves as the enemy, and we see them as harmless. And man, we have a wake up call, understanding that. And you know what? Most High in Christ for the ISPK, because really, man, for all of us, I'm gonna say this for all of us, it has made us aware of what it really is. You know what I mean? It has made us aware of who the enemy really is. Because in reality, man, we didn't even know. A lot of us didn't even know that's who the enemy was. A lot of us thought that we were the enemy. Go ahead. That's true. This is the most southeast of the field. He calls him a beast. You know what I'm saying? And when you look at these depictions of him, that's exactly what he is. He's a beast. You know what I mean? And if not for the ISUPK, man, we would still be living with our mind thinking that these people are good people. You know, even though a lot of us, when you talk about a lot of the, a lot of us who learned that the Chicano studies and Black history, but even Black history, man, they made you think that it was over. Oh, that was slavery. That was back then. It's over now. It doesn't exist no more. And they made us believe that these people no longer existed. But coming into the ISUPK, we began to realize that, that spirit is recycled. The spirit of Jeffrey Dahmer, man, they should have kept him incarcerated for as
Right.
long as possible. Because as soon as they killed him, he's coming back. He'll be back on this earth in no time. You know what I mean? You kill these people, you're not killing the man, you're actually bringing them back. You know what I mean? And that's the problem. That they should find a place to incarcerate them and keep them for as long as possible. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, they should not die because we're in danger of them coming back. That's the truth. You know what I mean? And us, we're the ones who, man, we don't even realize, man, that this is happening. And, we, like, once again, like I was saying, we see our people as enemies. We see we're the enemy. We've always thought, Hispanics always thought the blacks are our enemy, or the other are our enemy. The people up in North California, those are our enemies. The Mexican is our enemy. The Chicano, the Mexican is our enemy. And we always found a way to make us seem like we're the enemies. And in the reality, the worst enemy of all has been the one that's always been enemy since day one. Since the day they set foot, they've always been that enemy. And as you can tell, that, man, the first people to defend them is our people. Right. And we're the first to defend these people. We're the first ones to be like, oh, no, poor Whitey. You know what I'm saying? We're the first ones to defend these people, man. And that's been our problem all the time, man. You know what I mean? There's going to come a time when things are going to change and we're going to realize that, man, the biggest enemy, they've always been that, and we're going to be on top, and then we're going to be the biggest enemy. Like, then we'll become the biggest enemy. You know what I'm saying? And they're going to know it. You know what I mean?
Khan.
Anything? You want to add anything?
Just not really. Just we need to separate from these oppressors. The white man is a dog. He belongs in a he belongs in a goddamn kennel, chained up. You understand? Es un pinche diablo también.
Es cierto, es cierto. El hombre blanco es el diablo del cual habla la Biblia. You know what I mean? That's the truth.
Claro que sí.
Man, it's already been an hour. We're going to get ready to lock it up. You know what I mean? Kusharwan, you got anything to say before we get out of here?
If I could, just like, the scripture says, I'm going to paraphrase it. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. And, it goes on to say that they have painted the faces of the judges thereof. And then it continues to say, if not him, then who is the devil? So who is the wicked of the earth if it's not the white man?
Right.
It's always, they're the ones with the power. They're the number one and number two superpowers of the earth. It's obvious who the evil man is. And that's it. With that, we need to separate. And we're not a hate group. This is for educational purposes only.
Right.
If anything, we're a love group because we're showing our people that we love them. Because our people are the ones that need love.
Right.
All we do is show love to the people who need love.
Right.
We're not a hate group. I just want to say that.
Right. Malakma, you want to add something to today's show?
Concert, like, that's heavy. You know what I'm saying? Like what Sean was saying, like, we're not a hate group, we're a love group. And then let me say it like this, because a lot of Christians, right, like to hit us with the "thou shalt not abhor an Edomite, because he is thy brother," right? Let me ask them this: So when a rape victim calls out her rapist, is she abhorring him? You know what I mean?
Right.
When someone expresses their outrage for the murder of their loved one, are they abhorring that murderer? So why is it when we call the white man the devil, all of a sudden that means we're abhorring him? We call him the devil because of what they do to us, not because of, the color of their skin or how they look. And let me say this: I want to bring this out. There's no such thing as reverse racism. Nobody hates the so-called white man because of his race. Everybody in the world today, let's put it aside from us. All these other nations hate him because of what he does. All the anger and hatred that you oppressors get is a response to the anger, to all the evil that y'all have done as a nation of people. Right. Y'all done robbed, raped, and murdered worldwide. The planet is dying as we speak because of you. You know what I mean? Because you consume everything. You want to, you're still so you would try to breathe air if you could. You know what I mean? That's what this oppressor does, man. If he could, he would charge you for the air you breathe. He's inhumane. He's got no remorse and no compassion. Am I lying? Am I making this up? You look at history. It's your fault that you taught me about this in history class. You know what I mean? It's your fault that you let me keep the Bible. Now you mad because I'm going over, I'm reading it and seeing for myself what you truly are? You know what I mean? Be mad with yourself. And if you have any compassion, if you want any humanity shown towards you, you better start showing it to us.
Right. Go ahead, Sean.
I was just going to add, there's already a movie about them selling air.
Right? Yeah, kind of.
Selling it good, nice.
Hey, Barack Ayala had seen I don't know, a couple years back. I remember seeing this lady that was selling fresh air from Canada and bringing it to the States. I don't know.
Good night.
Are you familiar with that?
I'm familiar with that. I think it's that Edomite or Moabite. She was selling her bath water online.
Oh, really? Yeah, man. I'm telling you, man. This lady, she was selling fresh air from Canada, and she would sling it in a jar. You know what I'm saying? She was slinging that shit, bringing it over here, telling people that air was fresher than any air. I'm like, how do you catch that air, and then how do you sell it? You know what I'm saying? And I like it. You can look it up, and you'll find it. I think you'll find it on YouTube because I'm pretty sure she became famous, and it really is not her. It's the fools that were buying it. You know what I'm saying? Like who believes you're buying fresh air, carnal? Like, come on, bro. Like you serious, man, you know? But they do. They'll sell you fucking air, bro, and you'll buy it. You'll be like, oh man, you know. And why? Because a white lady sold it to you. Like, but if a black brother was to try to sell you air, you'd be like, man, he's a hustler. He's just trying to get me, man, you know? This guy's sell me this fake air, man, and damn, you pull that brother down, you'll be like, man, he's this, he's that, man. But her, if she comes to your neighborhood selling you air, you'll be like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna buy air from her, man. You know what I'm saying?
Good night.
Like when you see vendors on the street, oh man, look at those Mexicans, they ain't got no permits to be selling. But when the goddamn Girl Scouts come selling you cookies, oh yeah, the Girl Scout cookies, hell yeah, I'll buy Girl Scouts cookies. Or the goddamn white lady selling lemonade, oh yeah, I'll buy lemonade. They probably sell you piss and you think it's lemonade. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, the one is the devil.
Yeah, absolutely, man, absolutely. You know what I mean? And you know, when you think about it, man, you know, and I'll prove it to you that it's true, man. You know. You got the United Nations and everybody speaking about you know, what is that? The carbons that are destroying our atmosphere, the release of carbons, you know, that destroy the atmosphere. They're saying how ozone. Yeah, the ozone. They're saying how the diminishing of the jungles, of the forest, is causing the oxygen levels to go down on the earth and all this. But yet, if you take a look at what they're doing with the drug or the war on drugs in Latin America, they're going into some of these countries like Colombia and Peru and Guatemala, some of these, and in the name of the drug war, they're leveling rainforests, they're leveling woods and things like that in order to destroy the cocoa plant, the cocaine plant. They're out there, they're on an all-out hunt to destroy this plant and destroying mountains and forests by burning these places. You know, if you haven't seen the war on drugs, that's exactly how they're taking it. They're burning down forests. They're leveling rainforests. They're leveling all these places and, you know, incarcerating and killing thousands of Latin American people, right? Because of this, right? And you know, in the name of the drug war in America, because let me tell you something, those countries don't have the drug problem America has. Like if you've seen some of these what is that, Philadelphia, if you've seen San Francisco, if you've seen these places, these zombie zones where people are just walking around on fentanyl, because fentanyl is another in America. It's not cocaine, it's not marijuana, it's fentanyl. And fentanyl is not even made in Latin America. It comes from Europe. It comes from China and places like that. They're the ones making this fentanyl, and they're bringing it to America. But yet the war on drugs is in Latin America. They're destroying Latin America. They're putting our people in the prison system and destroying our country. But yet fentanyl doesn't come from our country. But they're still on the war on drugs for cocaine. And man, cocaine is nothing compared to fentanyl. Cocaine did not do what fentanyl is doing. What did do that was the crack era. And it didn't do it to their people, it did it to our people, to Black and Hispanics. We became the zombies when it came to crack. And they incarcerated all our people. Our people went to jail for having a crack rock. They did the 3 strikes law, and if you were caught with 1 crack rock, you were doing time. You were doing life in prison for the 3rd strike for a crack rock. But now if you look at the fentanyl is all over San Francisco, and the police drive by all these people that are obviously on fentanyl, because they're just standing there tweaking in the middle of the street in broad daylight, and not a couple of 10s or 20s, by the hundreds. Like, have you seen these videos of people driving around filming the cities that are plagued with fentanyl? And the majority of the people are Caucasian people that are hooked on fentanyl. And let me tell you something. Right now, it's moving into our Black and Hispanic neighborhoods. Our Black and Hispanic neighborhoods are being bombarded with this fentanyl. But right now, it's the Caucasian people that have become addicted to the fentanyl. And you know what? They're not being incarcerated. They're not being treated like criminals. It's not overwhelming jails with Caucasian people who buy and trade fentanyl. It's not. It's only Black people for having marijuana, Hispanic people for having cocaine. But these fentanyl is an epidemic, man. It's an epidemic in America. Fentanyl is an epidemic in America, worse than cocaine, worse than marijuana, worse than these other drugs. Go ahead.
What I heard is that whenever they hear somebody dies off fentanyl, the fentanyl addicts, they go and search for those. They're like, oh, somebody died off of it? Oh, then there must be a good batch. Let me go find that batch.
Right.
You know, which is ridiculous. That's crazy.
Right.
They're chasing that high. They're gonna go to where somebody already died.
Right.
You know, that's
I got Halak just said this. I got this coworker who goes to the what is that? EDC. He goes to EDC, which is Electric Daisy Carnival.
all right.
They do it. They do it in Vegas, and he tells me that at the EDC, people separate themselves. Because I told him, hey, what kind of crowd you guys got there? He said, man, all the Hispanic people all hang out together. Like all the raza, they're like in one area. He says, but the Asians have a different area, and they're the ones that are sending fentanyl. He said, all the raza, when they want to buy fentanyl, they go looking in the Asian area for the fentanyl. And then you got he says the Armenians, the Arabs, that they go around robbing people. Like they're to look out for because they're the thieves. And then he says very few Black people go, but it's mostly Hispanic, Asians, A lot of he says the white folks, man, they like the hippies. They're like all gone. He says, man, they're gone. Like when you see white folks, they're just walking around without shirts, just completely gone. He says, still the Hispanic people, they drink, they like to get high, and they're the ones doing all the dancing and going crazy. White folks, they're just like in loss, and the Asians are there to make money. He says so. So when he says these people are the ones bringing the fentanyl to the concerts, but he says that Hispanic people get searched up and down, like they're a target for security at the EDC. And he says, and these other races, man, they don't sweat them as much as they sweat them. They walk in there. He says they walk in there with backpacks. They walk in there with backpacks all the time, and they got that. So the Lord is bringing fentanyl to America, and is destroying their nation with this drug, the way that nation destroyed us with that crack cocaine. You know what I'm saying? But still, when you look at it, they're out there in our countries destroying our countries in the name of the drug war, the goddamn drug war that for over 20 years has done nothing to our countries but tainted them with bad name, slander, and the destruction of our countries with this thing so-called the drug war that Reagan brought into our countries, and all they did was bring mass murder into our nations. Go ahead. Oh, Malagma, go ahead. Salaki, Malagma.
So I was just gonna say real quick, and that shows the white privilege that exists, because look, you can see it in something simple as a border crossing. When we go to Mexico, you know what I mean, to visit our familia and check out the where our people came from, right? When it's time for us to go back to the U.S., look at all the intense scrutiny that we're faced by the Border Patrol. You know what I mean? They want to make sure we're born in America. They search our vehicles to make sure we're not bringing in drugs. They got the dogs and everything. Now, ask yourself how easy it is for an American to go into Mexico. They don't get scrutinized. They don't get asked where they born in Mexico. They don't get asked how long are you going to stay. They don't get asked what are you bringing in. You just check your vehicle. You know what I mean? And it has been brought out that a lot of the guns that are plaguing Mexico right now, a lot of the weapons that the cartels have, the way they're getting the weapons is they're going to America. They're crossing the border, buying the guns in America, then going back and taking them back to Mexico. You know what I mean? Because there's no intense scrutiny of Americans coming in. Because the white man isn't seen the way we're seen. You know what I mean? And that's why, man, that's an example of the white privilege that people want to say doesn't exist.
Right.
All you got to say is you got nothing to declare to go into Mexico. You don't need a passport. You don't need an ID. You don't need anything. You just walk. Meanwhile, in order to come back into America, you need all these things. Right. You know what I mean? It's a lot, right. So I'll get the floor back.
Right. And when you really think about it, like in our countries, like I was saying, these presidents now are speaking up against, knowing that America was so destructive. Well, just the way they know America was so destructive, they should know that all Americans are like that. And that now when we see these people coming into our countries, whether you're from El Salvador or Guatemala or Honduras, Dominica Republicana, Puerto Rico, carnal, Cuba, South America, when these people start traveling into your country, man, they should be like, they should be searched. They should be interrogated. We want to know why you're coming to our country.
Right.
You guys coming over here. What are you doing in our country? We should really be putting them in an interrogation room and asking, man, why are you coming to our country? What's your purpose of coming into our country? Who sent you to our country? Why have you chosen to come and vacation in Cancun? Right. You get the right to buy property in Cancun. And why are you buying that property? Or you might be a spy for all I know. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what they do. And this Cornelius P. Rhodes, the problem with the Puerto Rican people, that as soon as they seen this guy, Cornelius P. Rhodes, come into their country, they should have immediately pulled a red flag what is this guy doing in our country? And who
Right.
gave him to see our women? You know, Puerto Ricans, man, the Cubans have the best doctors. Cuba's known to have some of the best doctors in the world. If you needed doctors, Puerto Rico, you should have called on the Cuban people to go and take care of your people. You know what I'm saying? We should be looking at our people to take care of our people. But instead, we're stuck in a system where we rely on them. You know what I mean? And man, think about it. America doesn't have the remedy. America has the prescription for more drugs for you to take, not the solution. You know what I'm saying? That's the way the medical field works in America. They don't have the solution for your problem. They have the medication that'll calm the pain down for a little while, but you're gonna die from it anyways. Go ahead.
They'll mask the problem. They won't get to the root of the problem.
Right. Absolutely. And that's the way it works. Man, we're already 121 into the program. I want to thank everybody for joining us. Always a good program, man, when we talk about these things, man. Awaken people to the reality of the country that we live in. You know what I mean? And it's really nice to know and really nice to see that Latin America, man, is finally waking up to the idea that the country that they're dealing with has been a monster to them all this time. You know what I mean? It's been a monster to us all this time. And it took us a long time for us to realize what we were really dealing with. And you know what? It's a wake-up call. We're waking up in America. Black, Hispanics, and Native American Indians are waking up here and across the country and down into our neighboring countries of Latin America. They're also waking up. America is on borrowed time, carnal. America is on borrowed time. And the time is coming when, what does that scripture say? The man of perdition will be revealed. Isn't that what it is?
The son of perdition. I don't want.
Of what?
The son of perdition.
Oh, the son of perdition will be revealed. Well, this is the son of perdition. These are the people. The sons. That's who these are. These are the sons of those that robbed, raped, and murdered and destroyed our people. And they had the privilege. They had the pass to go around and continue doing this to our people all this time. But now we live in the era, in the time, the appointed time, when that precept, the son of perdition, will be exposed, right? This is our time. This is the time we live in. That's why this broadcast is so important, because we're going to broadcast who the son of perdition is, and we're going to show it to you historically, and we're going to show it to you as it goes on, as it takes place, as it's happening. You know what I'm saying? Anybody got anything else to say before we get out of here?
Khan.
Go ahead, Barack.
El hombre blanco, su mujer, sus hijos son pinches diablos que habla la Biblia.
Man, I think that would top it off. The Water for joining us. As you know, every Monday we got the La Neta. Come and join us every week. You know what I'm saying? We got a calling number for those of you who want to jump in and, you know, conversate with us, talk about the things we're talking about. Our show continues to go on every Monday at about this time, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, depending on how our jobs go. Regardless, we're going to be on, man. We're going to broadcast. The Water Barack Ayala out from Canada for joining us. Kasharwan and Malakma, the Water for being on the show today. As always, man. Don't forget, tomorrow we got a high holy day. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
For that high holy day, man. Así que prepárate, Day of Atonement for tomorrow.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So with that, Shalom, Israel, Yahweh, Shem Yahweh, Shabbat. To all our viewers, hasta la próxima semana. Till next week. Shalom, Israel.
Hasta la próxima.